Welcome to another episode of Two Old Geeks Talking. Now on the World Wide Web.
Hey, welcome to Two Old Geeks Talking. I'm Rob.
I'm Trace.
And today we are discussing
Rise of the Guardians.
That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah. And so I never had seen that movie.
Okay.
And then you told me you wanted to do
an episode
on it. So I recently watched it with my 4-year-old.
Right.
So tell me what you think about it.
No, you tell me what you think about it.
Okay. I mean, I liked it. It was a Christmas movie. This is our Christmas special.
Right.
So, and Skylar, my 4-year-old granddaughter, it's really hard to keep a 4-year-old's attention.
Yeah,
So let's just put that on the table.
Right.
So she was really invested in the first of it, got distracted toward the middle, and then was invested toward the end.
Oh, okay.
And but she had lots of questions as far as the boogeyman, or what was he called in there?
Pitch.
Yeah, Pitch Black.
Right.
Yeah. So she liked it. Now, having said that, after watching the movie, we were looking at some YouTube videos, and apparently people try to pair up Jack Frost with what's the girl from Frozen, Elsa?
Elsa, yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot of Elsa, Jack Frost videos, and Skylar was totally into that. But me personally, I probably give it a 7 on a scale of 1 to 10.
Okay.
And I liked it, and but go ahead. I'll elaborate on that more.
We're using it as our Christmas theme, but it really wasn't considered a Christmas movie. It actually came out around Easter time, is when the movie.
And I've heard people say it's an Easter movie, but it's a Christmas movie.
Anything that has a Santa Claus in it and snow and stuff like that, I automatically want to turn it into a Christmas movie.
Yeah, it was. I don't care if it came out in July. It was a Christmas movie. Yeah.
So the movie was actually written by William Joyce. Do you know anything about William Joyce?
Nope.
All right. So William Joyce, he is an artist, an illustrator, a writer, and does films. Now, he has wrote up to 50 children's books that has made it to the bestsellers list. Some of his films, and you'll know them, you've heard of Meet the Robinsons,
Yeah.
Robots, and Toy Story.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, I love Toy Story.
Right. But what I love him for, what best I know him for, is the 2-time Emmy Award-winning children's show, Roly Poly Oly. Do you know Roly Poly Oly?
No.
Shame. Any of you old geeks who know Roly Poly Oly, God bless you.
That's an old thing?
Yeah, okay. I'm going to do something I guarantee you people will respond to it on our video. Ready? Way up high in the roly-poly sky is a little round planet of a really nice guy.
Wow, that is
creepy but good.
Yeah, okay.
No, trust me, it's the cutest freaking show in the world.
I'm trusting you on this.
Right. So that is some of the things that he's known for. But a lot of people watch this movie and it almost left as many questions as it did answers, right? And the reason it is because what we're seeing in this movie is just like a scratch on the surface of what the bigger story is.
Yeah. For me, what it looked like to me is they took the Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, Sandman, Tooth Fairy, and am I forgetting one? Jack Frost. And basically they took like all these make-believe characters and they made them like an Avengers team. They put them all together like you had your Captain America, your Iron Man, and your Hulk, and so they put them together. So it was like a holiday Avengers team. That's the way I kind of got it.
Right. So it is actually a book series. There's 6 books altogether. There's 5 in the series, but there's a 6th book. The first book came out was called The Man in the Moon, and it was about the Man in the Moon. The second book was called Nicholas St. North and the Battle of the Nightmare King. The second book was called Esther, Bunnyman, and the Warrior's Eggs at the Core of the Earth. The next one was called Tuthana and the Queen of the Tooth Fairy Armies. The next one was called Sandman and the War of Dreams. And then there was Jack Frost and the End Becomes the Beginning. So,
all these books came out before the movie?
Right.
Okay.
So this is what inspired the movie. And so you know me. I like things that have a lot of backstory, like Star Wars has a lot of history and lore.
Yeah.
And that's what led me down a rabbit hole with this movie. I love this movie. I knew there had to be more to it, and so that's what I kind of delved into. And so what I'm going to do is...
Have you read those books?
I have read through some of those books. I don't own them all. I've actually looked on getting them this season for Christmas.
You said the Jack Frost was the last one?
Yes.
I had heard that it was so well received that they have actually considered doing a sequel off that Jack Frost book.
In my opinion, what they should have done is done it like the Marvel movies. They should have come out with each one of those books as its own individual movie, leading up to like the end game kind of thing. Because that's basically what this movie is we got to see the end game and didn't get to see all the other movies before.
What I had heard was that the movie went up against what's that? Twilight, Breaking Bad. One of those came out at the same time this movie did. Plus, there was like a new James Bond movie that came out.
Yeah.
So James Bond built-in audience.
Right.
Twilight is the end of the series.
Well, this was geared toward children, though.
Yeah, but I mean, when you're going to the box office, I mean, when you typically don't see 2 or 3 movies a week, so you might see a movie every 2 weeks or every month at the most. So when you're going and you're looking at this buffet of movies. The Rise of the Guardians, I think that's what hurt it, was that it was up against 2 really popular movies at the time.
So I'm going to give you a rundown of only 3 of the characters for time's sake.
Okay.
One being my favorite, being North. And then I'm going to tell you about the antagonist, Pitch, which will be his history. And then, of course, the hero, Jack.
Okay.
Not my favorite character, but everybody wants to hear about Jack. So North was actually started out as a young man as an orphan, and he grew up to be a warrior. And he was such a perfect fighter that he actually took on a whole cavalry of men while sitting at a table eating a meal with a bent steak knife. He took them out and never left his table and never stopped eating his meal.
That seems unbelievable.
Doesn't it, though? So he was such a good warrior, he ended up joining the Cossacks, which is a Russian group. And he became one of their greatest warriors, but he ended up leaving them due to their disregard of human life, because he still had somewhat of a heart. But he still had that mentality.
Are you talking about the guy that's Santa Claus?
Yeah, the guy that's Santa Claus, right.
Yeah,
This is just a scratch of his history.
Okay.
So he ended up starting his own group of bandits, and they were considered some of the roughest, toughest people in the world. So there was this wizard called Umbridge Salazar, which in the books you'll find out later on he's Father Time, and he was trying to lure him there so he could train him and teach him. And so North and his bandits was going to this place, and they come across this treasure. And at the same time they come across this treasure, they hear a bear and these children screaming. Well, his band of men goes directly to the treasure. It was kind of a test. North, he ran right by it. He went to go help the children. Well, the bandits that got trapped by this test ended up turning into statues of stone elves, which later on we find out that North ends up friends, and they start working for him in his palace.
Yeah, in his little workshop.
Right. So when he gets to the bear, he defeats the bear, but without too great success. He was really damaged. But as the bear was dying, he saw that there was this great evil that was coming out of the bear, and it was actually Pitch. Pitch was puppeting the bear. And so Umbridge ended up taking North to his send-off Clausen, which was a village, to heal him. And while he was there, he learned his magic, he honed his skills, and he became a better person because of it. And he actually became what was considered the guardian of childhood.
So that's when he became Santa Claus.
And so that's
That's an actual better story than Rise of the Guardian.
Right. Well, actually, this is part of the story that nobody knows about.
Yeah.
And each one of them has a story. You have the story of Bunnyman, Tuthana, and Sandman. So let's move on to the antagonist, which is Pitch. Now, he's got an awesome story, believe it or not. And you think, okay, so how did he become evil?
And sometimes your story is only as good as your villain.
Right.
Yeah,
like Batman wouldn't be Batman without the Joker, right? Right. So, this story doesn't just take place on Earth. It actually takes place in the whole freaking universe. And in the particular place of the universe, they were celebrating what they considered the Golden Age. And in the book, Rise of the Nightmare King, or something like that, in this universe, there was fearlings and dream pirates and people that started rising and evil started rising. So the House of Luna, who decided to create their own golden army to defeat these guys. And they were led by a Commodus Pitcherman or something like that, which was actually who had a daughter, and her name was Emily Jane. We find out later on that Emily Jane actually becomes Mother Nature. So, he travels through from world to world collecting these evil souls and the evil beings, and he takes them back to this planet. It's like a prison planet. And he's literally considered like a hero throughout the whole universe, like the hero above all heroes. And so, when his job's done, he still has that role of feels like he needs to protect this planet and guard this planet. Well, these evil beings being evil, they spent hundreds of years with him. They kind of convinced him that they had his daughter trapped upon the planet. They even learned to mimic her voice. At first it didn't work, but because of the love of a father, he had to go down there and find out for sure. So he opened the gates to the prison and he went in. And when he went in, all the evil spirits, every evil thing, entered his body.
Yeah.
So it's not that he turned to evil. Evil consumed him and took over everything that he was.
I don't like that.
Well, nobody would.
No, I mean, the reason I don't is because, and this is, how old is this movie?
I think it came out in 98, maybe?
Yeah, so it's old.
Yeah.
So it's old. But there's a new thing they do with new modern movies,
right?
Where the bad guy isn't bad. He's misunderstood or he's put into bad circumstance. I like a bad guy who's bad. Where you want to know why I'm doing evil? Because that's who I am.
Right.
That's my preference. Whereas like I think like even in the new, not to change the subject, but in the new Top Gun Maverick movie, he's going against an enemy, but never in the movie, which I enjoyed that movie, never in the movie do they really flesh out who that enemy is. You're not really sure.
Right.
I mean, and so a lot of times, either in comics or modern comics, or modern books, and modern films, they don't know how to write good evil. It's like people have forgotten what that actually is. And I like a villain who's villainous. But anyway, I'm sorry, I digress. Go ahead.
You're fine. There's nothing wrong with your opinions or your thoughts. So, where was I?
You were talking about how all the evil spirits enter.
So basically, Pitch became so evil, he brought an end to what was considered the Golden Age. And he defeated a group of people called the Luna Llamas. They were basically a group of monks. And he destroyed a whole race of time travelers, which was called the Pukas. And the Easter Bunny is actually the last of that race. I mean, he was capturing children's dreams. He was doing some of the most horrendous things. But one of the goals he had set was to actually, the prince of the Luna family, he was wanting to attack his dreams and turn him into the Nightmare Prince, kind of like a understudy, like Darth was trying to do with Luke, right?
Yeah.
So the Luna family created this protector to protect their son, and he was called Nightlight. So Pitch, when he attacked, he actually ended up killing the king and queen. He ended up killing the prince's parents, and the child seen this, and so he started crying, and the first tear that fell, Nightlight grasped out of the air and turned it into a diamond dagger. And he stabs it into Pitch's heart. But when he does, not only does this shard get stuck into him, but so does Nightlight. He's trapped inside of Pitch. And they're both hurled down to Earth. Massive, like, destruction. And so they crash into like an underground cavern to be trapped for thousands of years. And baby Luna actually lands on the moon. So he grows up learning his magic, watching over the people of the Earth, and decides one day that he wants to set his protector free. Mm-hmm. But he doesn't do it successfully, and he ends up releasing Pitch. And this is when, you know, it mentions in the movie how Pitch started the Dark Ages on Earth.
Yeah.
Well, this is when that started, is when he was actually released by the Man in the Moon by accident. And the reason he's so weak in the movie, and they don't go into this either, is because his daughter Emily, Mother Nature, mm-hmm. brings him to her dimension and holds him there because of her fear of how evil has replaced her in her father's heart. So she's basically has kept him hid away, and since nobody has been around him, the Guardians have brought joy and peace to the Earth. He lost his powers, but it doesn't say that in the movie. See, there's so many aspects to this movie.
I think the movie was geared toward children.
It was,
and toward family, and toward a wider audience. Whereas this is very convoluted and almost like its own mythology.
It is, and that's why I got into it.
But I mean, you're into it.
Right.
Yeah, you're into it, and I can tell you enjoy it. Otherwise, you wouldn't pick this topic.
Right.
But at the same time, it just seemed very complicated. I think.
What I'm telling you is still just a scratch of the
so
whole thing.
I think you got people that haven't seen the movie.
Right.
Then you got to have people that have seen the movie, and then you got this real small group with guys that wear bowler hats that are really into that.
Right.
But it is interesting.
Right. So we continue. I'll tell you about Jack. Jack is the hero of the story,
apparently a lot of teen girls had animated crush.
Oh, there is. I rarely
Jack.
go to a Comic-Con that I don't see a cosplay of somebody cosplaying
seriously?
Jack.
Yeah, even now.
Yeah, even now. So, and Jack's story, as interesting as it kind of is in the movie. In the movie, it's kind of like, okay, he don't know his history. He don't know who he is, and he kind of learns a little bit of who he is. And basically, that's not even the complete story, because you don't know. You think you know how he got there, but that's not the truth. It goes so much in depth. So, I had mentioned Nightlight, right?
Yeah.
Well, Nightlight is actually the person who ends up becoming Jack. So Nightlight was created by the House of Ludendorff, by the King and Queen. They combined the power of one of the last burning stars or something like that with locks of their hair to become their children's protector. And he made an oath. And when those Nightlights make an oath, they stay with the child and protect the child until the child hits adulthood, and then they literally become stars themselves. But Ben's, he was actually trapped in Pitch. He didn't get to fulfill that, and that's why his legacy continued after the fact, instead of him just being up in space.
Yeah.
So he literally had, at the time, the power of a star inside him. So,
you know more about this movie than I do anything. If you took all my knowledge and combined it, it wouldn't equal what you know about this movie.
Yeah, well, I'm skimming over a whole lot.
Yes.
So, as we know, let's see. So, So, he continued to grow. Once he was released, he ended up becoming friends with a lady named Catherine. Mm-hmm. Catherine was considered the guardian of storytelling, which eventually humans grew to know as Mother Goose. And so he cared for her. They were really close friends. Well, being Pitch, he still wanted revenge. And so he ended up capturing Catherine and putting her into an eternal sleep. Well, Nightlight wanted to free her from that sleep, like Sleeping Beauty, right?
Yeah.
Well, he had remembered being the guardian of Baby Luna, that one of the most powerful magics he's seen when he was with them was when the parents came in each night and gave their son a goodnight kiss. It was the goodnight kiss, and that had the ability to dissolve all the kids' stress, all the kids' worries of the day, and let the child sleep. And he thought that was the most special thing in the world. So he combined that earthly magic, because that's what a kiss is an earthly magic, with the magic he had, which created a new magic. And it started him down a whole new path. And it says in the book that your first kiss is the end of your childhood and the beginning of becoming an adult, which I thought, that's kind of true too. So
I started becoming an adult at 5.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Yeah, so anyway, he was also learning what love was at the same time. So one of the things that the Man of the Moon tried to do to help Nightlight become stronger is he gave him the ability to dream. He protected dreams, but he never had dreams of his own. So in order for him to dream, he sprinkled him with dream dust, and he dreamt that he was a human boy, and he had a brother and a sister, and he dreamt of this home and this mother and father, and he literally woke up dressed in his hoodie and his pants and with no shoes, because before he was just looked like almost a crystal entity. And so he wanted to pursue that dream, so he literally said goodbye to Umbridge, he said goodbye to Catherine, and he took Pitch down to Earth to try to entrap him so that he could go on and pursue his dream.
Yeah.
So, but Pitch not being defeated, he had minions that worked with him, some of the Fearlings and a large serpent. And as Nightlight was looking for his new family, Pitch was looking for him. Well, you like this part. So Nightlight hooks up with a group of werewolves.
Yeah, I like werewolves.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So one of the werewolves actually led him to
If you get werewolves and ninjas in this story, I think it would be better.
Right? So the werewolf, the main werewolf, the king of the werewolves, his name was Shadowbent, led Jack to what would be his family. And he told him, and this is kind of a cool line, I love this. The elder wolf told him, he said, within every boy lives a man, and within every man is the memory of a boy. So use the memories that you make at this point to be your compass in your life. That's kind of deep crap right there, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's deep, man.
Yeah. So Jack ends up kind of leaving everything he knew behind. He stopped using his powers. He literally started becoming, this is when he becomes Jack. He introduces himself to this family as Jack Frost. And so he starts growing with these people, and he gets to be a kid and be a little boy again, or be a little boy for the first time. And so he's letting all this go, but still, Pitch is still looking for him. So there is this lemon-tossed serpent, that's the serpent's name, and he catches Jack with his brother and sister in the movie. You know, in the movie, you see them out there, him and his little sister. Well, in the book, it was him, his sister, and his brother. And the serpent actually started breaking the ice. It wasn't them accidentally going out on thin ice. It was the serpent was breaking the ice, and the lake was surrounded by these fearlings. So Jack musters up what energy he had left, or what powers he had left. He got the children off the lake, and it kind of gets kind of a little brutal. He literally takes the ice and brings it up off the lake, turns it into shard daggers, and just starts taking people out. Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
Well, the serpent's, he's going out too. And so he starts sinking into the cold, deep, cold waters. But before he goes, he reaches up and snares Jack and starts taking him down with him. Jack doesn't fight. Jack's like, okay, we're going to make sure you're done. I'm going to go down there and make sure you're finished. And when he goes down there, he literally lets go of all the memories of the first life he had. He lets go of all the new all the new memories he made with this new family. He lets go of all his powers, and he lets go of all of his emotions. He basically lets himself completely die.
Yeah.
So that
Sacrifices.
Yeah, so that Pitch thinks he's dead, and so that he won't go either to find the people he loved in his first life or continue to chase after the people he loved in his second life. And so this is where the movie kind of starts out showing Jack. Well, people don't know that this is why he can't remember anything. He literally let himself forget. He literally.
That's the thing. Whenever you're making a movie,
right.
Like say for instance Star Wars.
Right.
It didn't really start at the beginning. It
Right.
started in episode 4. So you got to ask yourself when you're writing a book or you're making a movie, do you start at the beginning of the story, which sometimes you can lose people along the way?
Yeah, Dickerson was good about that.
Or do you start in the middle, where maybe there's more action going on, with the chance or the opportunity that in the future you can go back and tell the original story?
Well, I think that's why they named this book the end becomes the beginning, because I think, and I was hoping that maybe they would go on and do more movies.
Well, I mean, I think if it had been financially successful, they would have.
Right.
But DreamWorks was needing a win, and they actually lost money on Rise of the Guardians.
Right.
And I mean, there was mass firings across DreamWorks
Yeah.
because of the money they lost. So I mean, not only was it a financial failure, but it took years for DreamWorks to come out of the hole that they kind of dug themselves in.
I just think it was their approach.
Well, I mean, first of all, I think common sense would be don't release it up against a big movie. Another thing is, if they released it at Easter, it needed to be released. It needed to be released at Christmas.
Probably, yeah.
I mean, it's a family movie. That's what you do at Christmas. You've got time off. If DreamWorks had released it at Christmas times, people would have went. Because, I mean, everybody's favorite character is, for the most part, is Jack Frost. But,
Right.
But everybody digs Santa Claus. Everybody knows Santa Claus.
Right.
Santa Claus was cool in this movie, man. I mean, he had tattoos on his arm.
Yeah, naughty or nice.
He said, He had naughty on his right arm and nice on his left arm, and that's some cool tattoos.
He was
and he had
bad
swords.
mofo.
He followed
Yeah.
swords. Yeah, it had a nice Russian accent.
And his history is even
Yeah,
better.
yeah. But I think one reason it's funny how I'll watch something and you're just like, meh.
Yeah.
And then you watch something and I'm like, meh. But on occasion, you watch something that it means something to you.
Right.
And I watch something and it means something to me. And on rare occasions, we watch the same thing, like Blade Runner.
Right.
And we both are huge fans of it. So I mean,
Well, I think
you told me the story of the nesting dolls.
Right, exactly. That's what I was going to mention.
And how that's important to your personality.
Right.
And so.
To find out what your center is, what you
tell
really
that
are.
story for people that hadn't seen the movie.
So in the movie, North being Russian, he brings Jack into his office and he asks him, "What's your center?" And Jack's confused, and so he hands him these Russian nesting dolls, and he says, "This is how you see me," and he shows him rough and mean, and you open it up, and he says, "But I'm also caring," and you open it up, and he says, "I'm also this and that." And he says, "But here's at my center." And he says, "What do you see?" And it's like a baby with big eyes. And he's like, "A baby?" He says, "What else you see?" He says, "Big eyes." He goes, "That's right. Big eyes that's
wonder.
full of wonder."
Yeah.
And he says, "That's what is my center." He says, "I find wonderment in everything." And he says, "That's what makes me who I am, is my center." He says, "What's your center?" And that's really true of what all of us are. We need to find out who we are at our core, so that we, no matter how else anybody else sees us, we know who we truly are in the center of our being, basically.
Yeah, I looked up those nesting dolls.
Right.
And there's somebody that makes them on Etsy.
Yeah, like
They're like
150 some
Yeah,
bucks a
it's
piece.
like almost $200.
So I had a friend actually buy me a set of those. I was going to paint them up myself.
Oh, yeah,
I hadn't had a chance to do
Yeah,
it. So.
yeah. Well, you need to do that.
Yeah. Oh no, I definitely will. I
So
have them displayed
as
up.
far as merchandise for the movie, Do you know they had some Happy Meal toys?
Yeah, that's about the only merchandise I could find.
Do you have any of them?
No, I didn't have. My children had the Easter Bunny at one time because he threw like a boomerang or something like that.
Yeah, boomerang.
And we had Sandy. He was like floated with a
I
magnet.
can't
and
believe that you don't have those.
No.
It's crazy about the movie.
I actually had Sandy for years and years and years, and he still might be in a box somewhere. I just have everything boxed away still. So, but what I do have is something you all made me, which is pretty cool. They made me a Christmas ornament, which is pretty daggone slick, and that will definitely.
Yeah,
be
Teresa,
displayed.
she's into resin, and I thought you'd enjoy that.
And plus, Benz, I was such a North character.
Yeah.
At one time, I was going to do a cosplay, so I got this hat because I wanted to do a cosplay.
Yeah.
Of North one year because there's so many Jacks.
Yeah.
At cosplay, how cool would it be if there was a North?
You don't have any tattoos, but if you ever got tattoos, the naughty and nice tattoo.
Yeah.
I'm not into Santa Claus the way you are, but that would be
Right.
cool.
That would be pretty
That'd
slick.
cool.
Well, that's about all I got.
Are you done?
I'm done
All right,
for
man.
now.
You want to take a drink? 'Cause I don't think you did during the whole video. You wore me out, man. All right, I think we're done.
We're done.
We're done.
We're done.
Hey, we're done.
Toodaloo.